games, let me know what your availability is, and it's certainly something that could be coordinated. And I suppose, without further ado, let's get into the games. CPL Fat Reaver versus Kix. How did I get featured? I got featured because I casted a lot. Same reason, I guess, Sale and a couple other guys. At least that's my understanding. I hope it wasn't for play, because I'm not strong enough to be featured based on play. In the top right-hand corner, as our Purple Protoss, we have Fat Reaver. And in the bottom left-hand corner, as the Teal Terran, we have INS Kix. Kix is on my team, team, which gets a little crazy to say. And he is a solid C- Terran. Honestly, to be fair, I don't think I've seen anybody new get featured in the last like 2 or 3 years. It's like they stopped featuring anybody, because I know I've seen a few foreign players that have reached a pretty high level and have not necessarily been featured, and I've been kind of surprised. I was like, that guy's pretty good. He should probably be featured rather than not featured. And in the top right-hand corner, as our Purple Protoss, we have Fat Reaver, also known as Arctimes. Peruvian Protoss faces off against, I don't know what nationality, Kix. I'm pretty sure he's European, though, if I recall his time zones correctly. But Fat Reaver is a C- level Protoss who, despite being Peruvian, is not really that Peruvian. He can certainly play macro games reasonably comfortably and does so often. And Kix, honestly, it's been a while since I've seen his play, despite him being a teammate. We almost never get to practice together because we're just different time zones, and I have school and work at the times when Europeans can actually like hang out. So, I don't know. I know in TVZ he used to always do Vulture drop into mech, but I think he's diversified that quite a bit, and I have no ideas about his TVP. Stardom saying Kix is from the UK. And the Oreo is in my mouth. And the probe is out scouting around, as is the SCV. We have the gas on the way, barracks as well, so everything looks reasonably normal at this point. Nobody obviously going for any sort of super cheesy builds. No gateways in the middle, no BBS. But what we see, I mean, it is reverse ramp, so 2 gate type pressure is an option. 10-15 would still technically be an option at this point here for Fat Reaver, and it can be a little bit of an annoying build on Jade. Perhaps not quite as strong as on a map like, say, Longinus or Tau Cross. Oh, what did I say? What did I say? 10-15 might be an option, and he actually does a 10-15 gate. I feel slightly clairvoyant right now. And Kix is going to go ahead and start getting his factory, and I am going to tab off of this for a second because my OBS is on the bottom of my screen and driving me crazy because I can see all my movements mirrored in OBS. Nice positioning here of the buildings from Kix, gives him plenty of space to work with against Zealots, really easy to defend. Probe is going to do a little bit of harassing, but hey, Marine is popping out right now, going to go kill this probe. And the second gateway about done. And we're going to have a lot of fast Dragoons on the way. Of course, the thing that makes 10-15 gate reasonably strong on Jade is the feature of this ramp. As you guys can see, it is a reverse ramp. So, Terran hanging out on the low ground is a little more vulnerable because they'll be taking half damage. So normally Terran, to deal with that, does just kind of come out immediately to the high ground. However, that works pretty nice, but when you suddenly have a bunch of really fast Dragoons, then it can get a little bit slippery. But fortunately for Kix, this has been scouted with his SCV, and if he's paying close attention, he should be pretty aware of the fact this is 10-15. Given the oddly fast gateway timing, it's usually not too hard to notice. That and the fact that I wasn't paying close attention to when his SCV arrived, but if his SCV arrived reasonably early, then he'd be well aware of the fact that there was probe cutting happening. And we can see he's taking it pretty seriously. He's going to low ground bunker. In fact, the Dragoon is already here. You can see Stardom doesn't even want any part of engaging that with the ramp advantage, pulling those Marines back, just trying to buy time for his tank. However, he has quite a long time to wait before that tank is done. And then the other concern at this point for Kix would be the Dragoon run by. I mean, he's got this nice bunker, but with 3 Dragoons, if Fat Reaver opts to him, and he could just run by the bunker if Kix is not ready with SCVs and then cause a whole lot of problems in the base. And that's exactly what he's going to do. He's just going right by. There are 5 Marines out, though, so a lot of Marines. Dragoons are out. Do we have range yet? It is very close. Okay, now he has range. He's got 1 at the bunker. He should really pull it back out of range of the bunker. I don't particularly love the control so far from arc times, but he has killed a few of the Marines, although he has done little damage to the tank, and Kix is handling this pretty calmly, doing a good job repairing, and of course there's only 1 Dragoon in his base at this point. Feeling confident enough, in fact, to lift off the barracks. Remember, he does still have the 4 Marines in the bunker, and now with just 1, Fat Reaver can't really attempt a run-by. Second tank on the way. Command center started in the main, and honestly, looking pretty good for Kix right now. I mean, there's only 2 Dragoons here, not that threatening. Trying to bunker up on the high ground, immediately forced to cancel. Gonna pick off a few SCVs, should be able to stop the scout from going out. There we go. And at some point, I think we're going to need to see an expansion here, or I guess maybe we're going to see some tech from Fat Reaver. He's going to transition from 1015 into some sort of Reaver or DT situation. But looking pretty comfortable, pretty safe for Kix at this point. Looks like he's got, probably already has mines, unless he went for siege first, because he's getting vulture speed. So it makes me think he's got mines. Now sieging up here on the low ground. 4 Marines in that bunker. Don't really think these Dragoons can cause any real damage at this point. And indeed, he is going to go ahead and throw up a Nexus, this probe here. Just hanging out to fake us out. And, oh, nice. Okay, so he's going to be able to take those Dragoons all the way off the high ground. Has these tanks here on the low ground. Almost threatening, but look at that. That is nice siege positioning from Kix. It's worth noting he did not go siege all the way. Oh, be careful. Fat Reaver, a little bit of a mistake with that Dragoon, unfortunately. He didn't siege all the way against the cliff, right? Had he siege all the way against the cliff, then Fat Reaver could run in here and spread his Dragoons and do a pretty good job against these tanks. Probably kill all 3 of them from the high ground. But positioned back like this, the Dragoons can go over here and can't shoot at the tanks. So kudos to him for good tank positioning. That's something to take note of. If you're Terran and you play on this map and have trouble with aggressive Dragoon builds, think carefully about your sieging positions, because it can make a pretty big difference. Looks like Command Center is up for Kix, so Kix is going to be getting his expansion up a little bit sooner than Fat Reaver, who does need a probe transfer here at some point, or he's just going to be putting himself more behind. Alright, there we go. Some probes heading out towards the base. Looks like 32 SCVs from Kix, 27 from Fat Reaver. No surprises there. Protoss does cut SCVs to do a 1015 gate, so mines are on the map. Like I said, I thought he had mines, and vultures heading out now, speed kicking in, and I think we should see some siege start up. Oh no, he's already got siege, never mind. And more Dragoons running down. Looks like Fat Reaver's game plan here is to just stay on this high ground pod, and well, I like having map presence. I'm not sure I totally love this decision because of this right here. He doesn't really know what Kix has made, and if Kix had made, 2 vultures is a little bit of a problem, but if Kix had made like 5 or 6 vultures and would be running in here right now, Fat Reaver would be about to lose a ton of probes. All as it is, he's already going to have to deal with these Dragoons. He hasn't noticed them, so that is really unfortunate for him, as those were his reinforcements. He still has no idea these Dragoons are in here. So a little bit rough for Fat Reaver right now on the minimap awareness, as the vultures have been allowed to run in here and do a bunch of damage. Dragoons coming back. They're going to eat a few mines now. Saving grace, Kix did not have or did not lay a lot of mines, but he's already gotten quite a few vulture kills. Looks like 3 on this one and 4 on this one. So probe kills. Already killed 7. That makes it 8. So this is a very damaging vulture drop. Needs to stop targeting the Nexus. Finish off those gas probes. That's now 9 probe kills for these 2 vultures. Make that 10. And they are just on a terrorist run. We can see the economy for Fat Reaver down to 24. Are they going to go into the natural and get even more probe kills? Oh, man. Oh, he's running into the minerals, though. And Arc Time's quickly pulling the probes, and that should be the end of terrorist vultures. Yes. But 10 probe kills, an awful lot of damage this early in the game. The already tender economy of Fat Reaver is now just ravaged. We can see 25. Kix, I think, is over 40 at this point. Really poor economy, and that's starting to be reflected in the supply differences now. Protoss has only 58 supply to Terran 76. Kix rolling away on 5 factories, getting his next command center up. Arctimes is taking command center, but again, we can see Kix is basically on the same expansion timings with a vastly superior worker count. Neither player with an exceptionally huge army. And most concerningly here for Arctimes is 3 gateways and only Robotech. If you're going to play on less gateways than Terran has factories, you better have a tech advantage or know your expansion timings and know that you're about to put down a bunch of gateways and get back into the macro game. But unfortunately, neither of those things exist for Arctimes, and Kix is going to run another Vulture in. Looks like he'll pick up another probe kill or 2, and oh, Arctime's still a little bit slow to react. That's 2, and the probes are a little bit slow to run. That makes 3 kills. So yeah, Arctimes is just not able to get an economy. I think we're about to see double SCVs here pretty soon from Kix. He loses just a few more to these Vultures. You can see he is macroing fine, but he just cannot afford to put down more than 3 gateways. I mean, Kix can basically do a 5-fac that's accompanied with an expansion and full tech at this point. You missed a good defense of 10-15 gate and Vultures wreaking absolute havoc upon innocent Protoss. Actually, I lied. Protoss are never really innocent. I say this too as a former Protoss player myself. Protoss are never really quite innocent. Alright, so third base on the way out for Kix. And Fat Reaver now with 3 Nexus has been probing up a little bit better, but the economy is still pretty fragile. Finally able to add on a few more gateways, but only 4 at this point. As Evil Eye professes his undying love to me, and I will accept it deeply into my soul. Or I guess he just thinks I'm the best. He's actually in love with Faust. So Faust gets his undying love, I just get his undying praise. I'm gonna ban Evil Eye from lmaster tournaments just to mess with his mind. But I thought we were cool with each other. Why did he ban me? Alright, so we're getting 5, 6 gateways. And a Temple Archives. We're getting a Stargate. Oh, Kix lighting up looking for a 4th base, but it's not there yet. Vultures sneaking past Dragoons on this side, and of course running up this way. And Kix running Vultures all over the map right now. But Evil Eye is sitting nicely on top of this high ground ridge. Quite a few goons here. He does have this pylon walled off, and he does have some goons for defense over at the 3rd base. I really like that because the Vultures could slip up here and would not be able to be blocked. Certainly not a big enough army to just occupy the entire pod, and that allows him to defend this a little better, even moving his goons into position. So nice goon movements here from Fat Reaver, and this should prevent overly significant amounts of damage from being done by these Vultures, although he's got to be careful of the mine. Oh, Jesus. I just said that, and then the mine went nuts, and there goes the economy at the 3rd base. So Fat Reaver again is back into dead pro level. And at this point, Kix is now, again, pretty close to double the economy right now of Arctimes, who is probably just crying. He probably should have transferred the other direction, seeing those mines, but oh shit. Oh shit, look at that. Oh no, if this Dragoon so much as flinches the wrong direction. And it looks like Observer sees it, but Kix is gathering up, and he's feeling pretty confident. Oh man, Fat Reaver needs to get the heck out of here. I'm not sure what kind of defense he's going to muster, but he certainly can't afford to be losing these goons. But I think Kix can just chase them down. You can see he is going to draw his army away. He will not get his day ruined by this mine. However, he's just got such a small army against the 150 supply of Kix. No real tech to speak of with that army yet. Templar are not out. I don't see signs of it. He's getting a Stargate, but he doesn't have Arbiter tech here anywhere. And interestingly, Kix is just kind of chilling, cruising through the middle, perhaps not aware of just how ahead he is. Sometimes that's hard to feel. You're never confident. Even when you scan Protoss's army, you're always wondering, well, what if he's got a control group over here that I haven't seen? You know, so he's just going to kind of take his time, work his way through the center of the map over here, which is wonderful for Arctimes, who's going to have that extra minute to start getting out a little bit more of an army. He's certainly not going to have any chance of Arbiter Tech for this fight, but every moment he can get is arguably nice for him. Of course, it is worth noting that every minute that goes by, Kix' army is also growing in size. But I think Arctimes needs a little bit bigger of an army to at least have a chance of capitalizing on a horrible mistake from Kix. And in some respect, I actually like this slow push from Kix, because a well set up Terran army is almost impossible to win the first fight against. And Kix is so far ahead that, you know, even giving Fat Reaver this extra time, it's not a big deal. Because Kix is already like ridiculously far ahead. Like, it's not like there's 4th and 5th bases mining and gateways getting set up elsewhere. So in this situation, this really slow push is just ensuring he has a great first push, which is exactly what Fat Reaver needs to not have happen. Like, he needs to completely have this army just get wrecked and be free to take a 4th and 5th base without fear. But with the setup that Kix has, that's unlikely to happen at this point. See, he does have a 1-0 upgrade, so that part's nice, and now he's going for it. This might be the engagement of the game. Vulture's a bit far out in front, but again, these Zealots are almost completely gone, and it leaves only a few Dragoons against a whole bunch of tanks trying to shuttle bomb. Does drop one, but this is just not enough. Dragoons need to pull back, but he might just be fighting and going for it here, and there it is, GG. Just a little too much early damage. Those initial Vultures getting in, taking out 10 probes off the already frail 10-15 economy. A little too much for Fat Reaver to overcome, and Kix will take game number 1. So, it looks like Arctimes has chosen Overwatch. Spawning in the bottom right-hand position as the green Protoss, we have Arctimes, aka Fat Reaver. And in the top left-hand corner, as the purple Terran from teamn, we have INS Kix. What does INS stand for, Kix? I'm legitimately curious, and I, to overuse the word, legitimately don't know. And that is legitimately an Oreo. Part of a healthy dinner. Actually, at least the rest of my dinner was healthy, but the Oreos are not. Now, Overwatch, 2-player map, has bridges outside of the natural, like right here, opening to a 3rd base over here. We'll show you guys the whole map. There's the bridge, so very, very narrow, difficult to get out of entrance this way, but if you head in the other direction, then you have access over here to this double ramp, high ground 3rd, and then up over this bridge out into the center of the map, where you can fight some battles, and then a 4th over here. We're getting some interesting opinions here. Apparently INS is both a cat and inferior noob squadron. Probe is on the way. It's out pretty early too. I wonder if he wants to gas steal. I think it might have just been a pylon probe, but it was definitely, yeah, I think he does want a gas steal. Oh, no, he doesn't. Okay, no gas steal. You can see Kix was calm. He was not too worried about having his gas stolen. He didn't rush to take the gas when he saw the probe heading up that way. They're kind of early. So either feeling confident or not feeling like he really needs, is really worried about having his gas stolen in this particular game. Because sometimes you will see Terran, if they have a plan in mind, and especially don't want their gas stolen, you will see them just go ahead and rush for the gas and take the gas a little bit before anything else to prevent the steal from the probe. It is viable under certain circumstances, depending on your plans as a Terran player. And Cybernetics Core started here for Fat Reaver. This time it is obviously not a 10-15 gate. First Marine out should be able to chase the scouting probe away here shortly. It'll be interesting to see if Fat Reaver decides to just leave or if he's going to let the probe die, which it looks like he is at this point. Some Protosses do like to just leave and kind of keep their probe hanging out around the natural so they can see when or if Terran moves out at a later time. Oh, actually, looks like this probe is going to get away by just one shot. So now we'll see if Fat Reaver sends it home or if he's going to leave it out here, like around the bridge area. Kick's still doing a little bit of scouting with that SCV, and we can see that Fat Reaver is not making a Dragoon in this gateway. So it looks like he's probably doing no Goon Nexus. Oh, I didn't know there was a nice little one hex path. Like that's, I'm guessing probably a Dragoon or something like that doesn't fit through there. Only the small guys can. Saving up. Oh, okay. His probe is gonna make the Nexus with this. Yeah, so he's gonna do no Goon Nexus. Variant of the 21 next build, just with 3 Dragoons at FD timing instead of 4. Yeah, kicks won game 1. His initial vultures did some terrorist stuff. Killed a lot of probes, like 10 probes. And then later on there was a mine that killed like another 10 probes. There's a lot of dead probes for arc times in game 1. And Dragoon walking down the ramp. In fact, 2 Dragoons and 2 more will be on the way. Range about to finish up, and Kix is starting his command center in the main base. That's a little bit interesting, especially since he was able to observe completely the build of Fat Reaver. I mean, let's face it, in the base command center is obviously a little bit safer, but it will delay your CC timing by a good solid 15-20 seconds. As it has to lift and then slowly drag its weight ever so down. So range down, and I'm really curious to see how Arctimes wants to play from here. I mean, he has shown that he does not have a problem playing Macrium, so he is getting a Robo facility. Which most likely is just going to him playing standard and grabbing obs and going to check out the evil plans of Kix. He could still go Reaver, but man, would that be some very, very delayed scouting. 2 tanks out for Kix, so this is going to be strong FD. And of course going to follow up with some vultures behind it, and it looks like he does want to push with it. It looks like it. I say that. It looks like it. And I'll be honest, strong FD is pretty good against this particular kind of build. As strong FD against 6 goons is pretty comfortable situation for Terran if you have decent micro. But the fact that he's waited here this long makes me think that nah, he's just going to the bridge, make sure Protoss is running across, lay some mines, and be safe. Kick saying that his SCV left the base before. Your SCV was like sitting right here. I saw it sitting right here where the Nexus going. He didn't even come back in to look for it. Either way, Kick's saying he didn't see the Nexus. Yeah, you're right. It did seem a little bit on the slow side for strong FD, so I guess it wasn't like an optimized opening. Of course, if you really want to make a terrifying strong FD, you can do 10 rags, 10 gas, and then you'll have this super ridiculously fast, terrifying strong FD. Strong FD is scary enough as it is, but with that optimization, it's even scarier. A few good movements here from Fat Reaver, trying to tickle out if there's any vultures on the map, and there are, but just sort of laying some mines on common Protoss paths. And this time we can see much quicker arc times, already at 4 gateways plus the Citadel, and this time it is Kix with 3 factories instead of Kix with already 6 factories, a bunch of tech, and an almost finished 3rd command center. So arc time's obviously in a much better initial position than before. Just ever so fractionally ahead on probes as well. And judging from the fact that Kix is still on 3 factories, we are likely to see a macro game from Kix, starting to throw down some initial scans. We're going to go ahead and see him take a 3rd base here reasonably soon, as it would be a little bit too late at this point to throw down a boatload of factories and go for some sort of timing attack. I mean, Fat Reaver is already powering away on 4 gateways, has his leg speed, pretty much has everything you could want. In fact, he even has vision now, which was sort of the last missing piece of the puzzle for him. eBay for kicks so we can get a turret or two, having seen that obs, and there is the SCV heading out that I predict will be making a command center. We'll see. I could be wrong, but I'm pretty sure it's going to make command center. Dragoon's moving over and clearing out some mines as Fat Reaver takes his third. So again, very similar expansion timings for both players, and that is usually a comfortable position for Terran to be in. A little less comfortable as Protoss when Terran is right there with you on economy. One of the nicest things when you're playing Protoss is when you have a good enough economy that you can go ahead and get up, you know, 4 or 5 bases and like 8-10 gates in your main and another 5-8 gates in another base before Terran attacks, because then you know you can macro like crazy from both sides and have a lot more options to defend pushes and stuff. Whereas if you are maxing right about as Terran is maxing and he pushes out when you're only sort of on 3 bases and not really established, it comes a lot faster and feels a lot scarier here. Much more of like a oh my god, I need to win this fight right now or I'm gonna be in so much trouble kind of feeling. Observer's in, so he's going to get to see exactly the timing of these factories. We can see Kix is, you know, definitely doing a good job macroing. He's only a few supply behind Fat Reaver, and I would say anytime you're within 20 supply, like less than 20 supply down to Protoss, you're doing something right with your macro. There's Arbiter Tribunal, so pretty nice tech timing from Fat Reaver. I do appreciate that. He will be able to have several ARBs in his army long before he maxes out. So another mistake I sometimes see newer Protoss players make is they're like, okay, yeah, I need to macro. They get 4 or 5 bases. We got a good economy, and then they make like 15 gateways or whatever, and then they max out, and they forget about the Arbiter tech. And so they have this beautiful max army with no Arbiter tech. Which, if you really want to do some sort of like bizarre timing to like bust up a Terran's third or something, like, yeah, it can work, but if you're just maxing and getting a big and playing for a long economic game with Terran, you want those arbiters in your army. So if you get to a point where there's like, you know, if you've got 190 supply, 185 supply, and you have no arbiters, just, you know, you can add more gateways if you have a few extra excess minerals, but stop making units and make sure you get some arbiters in that army composition, or Terran's army will just be way too ridiculous. I mean, Kix, I think anybody prefers a Protoss that doesn't get Arbiters. Arbiters are strong, man. They're strong. One thing I will say I like from Kix, and we can highlight it by doing this here, so you can see he's got really nice vision right now of everything that's going on. You know, there's nowhere that arc times can move that Kix is not at least a little bit aware of. So he's just very comfortably defending and waiting for his army to grow. Interestingly, Kix is actually starting to outsupply Fat Reaver ever so slightly. Really good macro right now. And kind of benchmarks you're looking for if the game is really passive, no trading of units, everybody just macroing up. You know, Protoss with good expansion timings, good third base timing stuff can usually max out with decent tech somewhere around 12 to 1230. I would say anything slower than about 13 and a half for an uninterrupted macro game is a little on the slow side for Protoss. So it looks like they'll be both close to that timing. Now, of course, Kix is strong on the macro side right now. He looks like he's going to be hitting similar timings to Protoss. Yeah, Protoss definitely could have benefited from a quicker fourth base. The one exception to that rule might be if you just want to hit with a massive gateway attack as quickly as possible, then sometimes it can be worth it to not get the fourth base and just go for the fast third and then just like macro like crazy. But that's sort of, I hesitate to call it all in, but it's pretty aggressive because you'll get a big strong army and you'll attack with it, and if you don't immediately break Terran, then you're going to be left in this situation where you only have 3 bases, and on top of that you will have really delayed your tech. So you can get a really strong timing out with an attack if it's a map that is open and lends itself to that, but your overall game you'll definitely be sacrificing for an early mid-game attack rather than playing for a, you know, solid late game. And it looks like for the first time, Fat Reaver is starting to feel confident enough to move out onto the map a little bit. But I think just clearing some mines, kind of spreading his army out across the map a little bit. And yeah, I'm a little curious about this because he took a late third, and his supply, when I say his supply, Fat Reaver's supply is not as high as I would think. I mean, 1330, it's not particularly fast timing. I mean, he's not quite maxed. He really should be maxed even maybe a little bit ago, 20, 30 seconds ago, 45 seconds ago, with his full tech tree. I mean, his arbiter timing is fantastic. I love that. But maybe just a little bit weak on the probing and on the macro side of affairs here. Now Kix, I understand his economy being good, nice and quick. I mean, he took that third base really fast. And Kix now gonna go ahead and roll across the map. And by that I mean siege up, and Evil Eye hopefully he's not going to attack this, as right now Kix is just sitting there all sieged up. That's like begging to attack. Should always wait for a turn to unsiege, especially in the first engagement. He's running up here and just hitting some mines. I don't think he's actually going to run in yet, and we can see he does pull his army back. Has gone ahead and maxed out. Should grab those reinforcements here fairly soon and bring them up towards his main army. Has put down a second Stargate, although he is not queuing anything in it at the moment. So we have what, 1-1 for Kix, 1-0 for arc times. Kix upgrading very nicely. And taking a fourth base. And both players right now just kind of, neither one of them wants to commit to anything. They're both sort of just feeling each other out, waiting to see what happens. I didn't see the initial timing of Kix's armories, but I do like... oh, we're going to have a recall. It is over here at the natural. And there is nothing here to defend, at least initially, so definitely going to get a few initial SCV kills. And we'll probably need to lift the Nexus off, but we'll see what he focuses on. Siege tanks immediately sieging up. Some vultures coming back, and there are a few mines here at the top of the ramp, and it looks like this will get cleaned up reasonably easy. Just a couple Dragoons left, but if they try to run up here, they are going to be running into a lot of mines. So yeah, he's going to be able to chase this down quite easily. Just 2 Dragoons left. Vultures and tanks helping to finish this off. And honestly, I'm going to say that was not a very effective recall for Fat Reaver. Kix was unfortunately just in too good of a position, too close for that to really do anything. And I mean, yeah, he killed 10 SCVs, but basically didn't get anything out of the units outside of that. And now Kix sort of recollecting his army, moving down here towards the 7 o'clock base, but so is the army of Arc Times. Stasis goes down, getting a few tanks, and nice storm on the front tank, so good army control so far from Arc Times, who is looking solid at this point in time, beating back that army from Kix without too much difficulty. A lot of units still left, definitely going to keep running up here, getting these tanks. Maybe chasing a little too far at this point, although he does have a few reinforcements on the way. The more reinforcement zealots he can bring up, the more he can afford to do this. He will need to pivot back at some point to pick up those stasis units. And while Kix's pushing was not perfect, I have to give some credit right there to Fat Reaver for his control. I mean, his control and attack was good. He had the zealots nicely out in front. I hit really smart storms and stasis. Obviously, Kix could have been set up better. Could have had a vessel. Could have EMP'd, you know, and dealt with some of those things. But that was well controlled from Arc Times, who is now running up here onto the high ground pod with a high tempo, throwing down a storm on these two, actually on this one tank. And now it looks like he's going to swing around, but oh, he's eating some mines. Got to be a little bit more careful than that. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 or 9 factories here for Kix. He should have his second upgrade. Let's see if he went quickly to his third. Yeah, very good attention to upgrades here from Kix. But does he have enough army to hold on? 4 or 5 tanks here on the low ground trying to defend Protoss with mostly Dragoons and only a few Zealots, but there are continuing to be really solid storms here from Fat Reaver, and especially fighting on the high ground. It looks like Kix's Dragoons might just be enough to break up this location at the moment. Tank coming in from the backside, unfortunately getting picked off. Still a few zealots in the mix, and forward marches Arctimes, doing a lot of damage to the army of Kix. That last tank should fall at some point. Oh, he's going to run up here, though, and this could be risky. Especially if he doesn't run onto the tanks, that might be the last bit of his standing army. It looks like it is. He might get a tank kill out of this. Trying to get perfectly on top of the tanks. Does get one kill, and some reinforcements at a good timing. And he's sending a wave of zealots over here towards this. Actually, no, they're coming into this base, so he's completely shut down mining at the third base of Kix. You can see some vultures laying mines over here under the harassment of an arbiter, but especially if he can swing around and prevent mining at the 7 or 3 o'clock base, 2 o'clock base, whatever the heck you want to call that. Arctimes will be in a commanding position at this point. Kix will be in a demanding position where he'd have to play very, very well to get back into it. Kix does have the fortune of playing Terran in that if you defend well, hold a major engagement, and then re-expand, you can often get back into the games. However, with the way Arctimes is playing right now, that might be easier said than done. And actually, it looks like Fat Reaver's just going for the killing blow right now here, charging in on the tanks, and there's only tanks here, so this might work. Well, if only the rest of his army was coming. Unfortunately, half of his army sits back and does nothing, so the attack goes from potentially dangerous to something less effective. And Kix has regathered here at his natural decent-sized army. He's done a good job macroing up. I mean, he has relanded this base, and let's remember, he still has 5 bases. I mean, once he relands his command center, he's technically in a better economic position than is Arctimes, because he does have a few more SCVs, and he does have this 5th base even to mine from. It would be nice to see Arctimes denying these 2 bases. Let's face it, that's a bit of an error from Arctimes. Could just be awareness, might not be aware that Kix has those bases, but I mean, he had Kix all the way pinned, defending in the natural. Would not have been hard to send 3 or 4 zealots to each of these 2 bases and shut down the mining for a little while. Now Arbiter's coming in, Kix goes for an EMP, but it's a bit late on the one, but I think he hits the, no, one Arbiter still has energy. Does he have another one? No, he doesn't throw one down, and it looks like Arctimes is looking to just muscle his way up here onto the high ground pod under the power of his Arbiters, and right now he's doing a fine job of it. Quite a few Dragoons still left in that army, although here come the reinforcement tanks right now, and Arctimes does not quite have enough to break through this at the moment, but if he reinforces, especially if he can pull all these units, it might be a different story. Only downside for Kix is he is sieging on the low ground. Maybe should have considered sieging the tanks back here a little bit further, and with the reinforcement coming, it looks like Kix is about to lose control of this position, fighting with everything on siege right now. Now sieges up the tanks, but there are no mines on. One Dragoon walking forward, but here come the reinforcements. Very good time, right as the tank's on stasis. You literally couldn't have timed that better. Reinforcements just a little bit later, and Kix might have established that position and gained control of it again, but it is not happening right now. Arctimes is flooding in units, and interestingly enough, decides to back away from the Terran for half a sec, before then coming back. Does send a few zealots up here. Finally has sent a zealot over to this base. Still doesn't seem to know about the base over at 3 o'clock. And oh man, big mines going off, killing a lot of the zealots, but killing a lot of the vultures as well. And again, that base completely shut down. And let's not forget, a zealot was being annoying here over in the mineral line. I think Kix has just now noticed that he has some SCVs to attack it, but of course we can see the full army from Arctimes migrating over here to this base, and Kix is going to have to lift it up and run. Now, is this an Arbiter? No, it's just a zealot. Would have been cool if he was going to go for some recall into the main now. And unfortunately for Kix, things are looking very, very grim right now as the economy is down to just 1. Oh, here we go. Arbiter's found it. Will he recall over here, or will he just run over here with some of his army? Either way, headed down to shut down the space. Looks like he's going to bring his army in the meantime. Kix is going to do a little bit of counter vulture raz. Cannon not done, so should get some good probe kills, although Arctimes is paying attention and will run those probes away. Kix is going to shoot down the cannon. Should have a few defending Dragoons come over here at some point. Looks like vultures want to chase down these probes And while he's getting all these probe kills, he is also losing his command center. And now Kix is not mining, so the situation looks very bad. Very, very bad. Protoss in control of all of the bases, and really all Kix has left is this relatively small army here in the top. It'll be interesting to see if he just goes for one last push, probably not, or just tries to turtle over and defend the third one last time. But at this point, I think either strategy is looking pretty doomed. Just a few recalls on this army, good recalls or bad recalls, would basically thin it out. And if he goes for the attack, I think it's just going to get pummeled, as the supply for Fat Reaver is huge, comparatively speaking. So we can see Kix is clearing out that third, but at the same time, I mean, he's got some beautiful mines up here on this ridge, but at the same time, Fat Reaver is starting to charge through with a few Dragoons, doing a nice job keeping some of the Dragoons and Zealots in reserve as he lets these Zealots clear out the mines. A very well played game so far from Fat Reaver. Is he going to go in here and go for it? I think he will soon. Oh man, he's got a huge army. Well, his probe count is low, so that's why. This is a very large Protoss army. This is probably like five and a half control groups or something like that, even with these Arbiters. So this is about to be a major attack here from Fat Reaver. Will Kix have enough to hold it? Oh man, he's not sieged. He is moving away from the high ground, which I absolutely love, but he's trying to hit a few stasis. A recall onto these tanks could have been interesting with this attack too, but instead it's just going to be a big stasis, and that leaves really only one or two tanks here defending, and I just can't see it holding off the huge army from Fat Reaver, who looks like he is breaking through Kix for the final time in this game. I think Kix is about on his last legs, looking for a desperate defense, but he doesn't have it. And GG. Arc Times ties this series up 1-1. Whoop. Dark Matter says, my fallen brother. Oh, sorry, I missed your units getting stuck, but in the top right-hand corner, as the white Terran, we have INS Kix. In the bottom left-hand corner, as the purple Protoss, we have Arc Times, aka Fat Reaver. What do you think I'm eating, Evil Eye? The same thing I've eaten in between both of the last two games. An unhealthy Oreo cookie. So Kix, after a little bit of sloppy army control in that second game, is going to be looking for something a little bit better in this game, or maybe his token Vulture Harass of Doom. Oreos are biscuits? Oh, you're UK. No wonder you say biscuits. First I was like, you know, being from the US, I'm like biscuits. Like biscuits to us mean like bread, like bread rolls or whatever. I was like, what the fuck? Yeah, I won't lie. I won't lie, Evil Eye. Of all of the types of poison you can put in your body, Oreos are among the best. Definitely not quite as good as the poison known as Dr. Pepper, but they're up there for sure. Get out of here, you Brit. Drivers on the left-hand side of the road doing weird things. That's something I would love to experience. Like, I love to drive. I'm comfortable with driving, but I honestly have to think it would be pretty disorienting my first few times trying to get used to driving on the left-hand side of the road and thinking about how a few of the turns would be different. Like, it wouldn't be hard to just drive on the left side of the road, but like a big intersection would be like... Let's see here. I will, since this game is going, I will get you a picture of what I think of like the stereotypical biscuit as. Let's see what happens if I just Google search for biscuit. The funny thing is, as I do this, I think this still shows you guys Brood War. Alright, here we go. We're gonna link. I really hope my own bot bans me. That would be fucking hilarious. Alright, so That is like what I think of as like the stereotypical American biscuit. Okay, he's taking an SCV off gas. Well, I guess that makes sense. You do take 2 off gas most of the time if you're FDing. Probe is going to do a little bit of harassing to the SCVs mining gas. Chips Ahoy is like, it's like Oreo cookie. Like Oreo is like a style of cookie from Nestle. Chips Ahoy is like another brand. It's another lineage of cookies, like Oreos are. Oh yeah, you're right. FD is 2 on gas. This is 1 on gas, so it would be a little more like Siege Expand. Although, okay, we're having some idle SCV troubles here. This probe has been sufficiently annoying to cause a few idle SCVs. You know, like, on the one hand, all these foods are good. Like, I mean, they taste good, but on the other hand, it's kind of depressing that all these foods that we like are the ones that are, like, literally poison. I mean, legitimately, you know, all the, like, you know, compared to something like, you know, blueberries or strawberries or whatever, you know? But, I mean, there's no denying it. It might be delicious, but junk food, true junk food, things like cookies, sodas, I mean, it's legit poison. It's anti-nutritional. I don't know what else you can fairly call it other than poison. Delicious poison, but definitely poison. If healthy food, there's a problem with cost with healthy food, but I think healthy food does taste great. I mean, when I sit there and think about it, I don't really think that like Oreos are that much tastier than blueberries. In fact, honestly, if I was completely whatever and you just gave me the choice, I'd probably just eat blueberries or strawberries or any of those kind of things. But I think because the sugar content is so high, it's like more addictive. It's like, you know, when you get like a craving or a binge, you reach for Oreos rather than like fruits because they're so unnaturally high in sugar and you're just craving the sugar. Like, when I stop to think about it, at any point I'm like, oh, actually, yeah, I'd probably rather eat strawberries than Oreos, but it's like the sugar, you know. You know, corporations are smart, man. They realize that if they load this shit with sugar, it's pretty addictive, and we'll all buy it. And we certainly all do buy it. They are higher in sugar. I don't know if I would say that. I mean, when you realize you can eat, like, you know, an entire bowl of blueberries and it'll have like 100 calories. Those blueberries are delicious. Blueberries are disgusting. You gotta get out of here. It's like the most superior of all berries. It's like blueberries, blackberries, raspberries, strawberries. But all of those foods are like god tier foods. Actually, I can't tell what build you're doing right now, Kix. I guess you're doing Siege Expand. If you're doing Siege Expand, you usually would do CC on 21 in the main base with like 1 Marine maybe, but with Siege Expand you want a wall. If you're not going to Siege Expand, then just go FD. Like, FD is way better though. I really don't understand the appeal of opening Siege Expand. FD is just so good. I don't feel any like there's any downsides to FD. I guess the one downside would be if Protoss does some like weird 2 or 3 gate with super fast obs. That maybe there's a situation where you could have trouble, but I just like it way better. You have mobility, you have mines for DTs, you've got map control. It's arguably a better economy. SCV comes across the bridge. Oh yeah, I definitely know about peeps. I mean, those are usually like an Easter only kind of thing, but definitely know about them. Definitely know about them. How do you mess up your macro? Oh, we got a sneaky pylon here, but oh no, wait, he's just walling. I forgot Fat Reaver likes to do this. He doesn't like the vultures coming in on both sides from this map, so he blocks off this side and just defends over here with a wall. But like, how can you mess up your macro doing FD? Like, you have 1 factory. I mean, that's like one of the cases of macro you can do in the middle of like, in the middle of just the most disastrous attack. I mean, you could have a Protoss that's like, you know, Reaver dropping you and you're microing against that, and you can still just go to your factory and press 4V or 4T or whatever. Yeah, Siege Expand is fine, there's nothing wrong with it, but I still feel like in almost every way it's not as good as FD. Like, I feel like FD does everything Siege Expand basically does, but better. I mean, I realize there's one or two builds that you could argue that Siege Expand is less or is safer from, but overall, I don't know. FD's great. Observer arriving here for Fat Reaver and 3 factories on. Oh, we have a starport out here for kicks, and we have a dropship. Here we go, ladies and gentlemen. Vulture drop coming to the base. Does Fat Reaver know? He should know now. Yes, nice reaction. Much better reaction on the pro pull. Straight to the ramp to block it. And oh, he's gonna go straight for the assassination of the dropship, and he's gonna get it. Oh, no, he's not. Oh, yeah, he is. Dropship flies over, so now we have 2 vultures in the base, dealing a little bit of damage here, but nice drill, as long as the mines don't explode him, and it looks like this time he is fine. That one is handled pretty well. Kick's still a little bit ahead in supply, but I have to give credit to Kicks. He does a very good job maintaining a steady SCV production. Clearly better than Arc Times in that regard, and he's almost always economically close to or ahead of Arc Times as a result of that. Yeah, what Sir already said, you could definitely do a defensive FD without attacking if you're like not confident in your micro and it's still decent, but if you practice your micro, like, you can just outright win games with it. It's pretty nice. And in terms of messing it up, I don't know what you do wrong. If you're doing macro wrong, I mean, I feel like the only way you could possibly mess up macro with FD is if you just get in situations where you panic and totally forget to like go to your factory and press, you know, T. But with a factory hotkeyed nicely, it should be really easy. You know, if you're in the heat of the moment, you just press 4V. Like, you literally don't even have to stop microing. Oh, for getting depots? Yeah, okay, I guess there's something to be said for that. Because you do have to, depending on if you're fully attacking with FD, yeah, you'd probably have to build 2, maybe 3 depots during that time. Oh, nice vulture shielding here from Fat Reaver. And actually he's blocking these out really nicely, taking a lot of free hits. He's got a pylon wall here up, but he was a little slow to pull these vultures, but I think the damage is still going to be relatively minimum, especially since there aren't any probes over at this base that Kix elected to go to. So Fat Reaver doing a nice job shutting down this vulture harass. Kix getting nothing out of those vultures. Oh, we got double dropships here sitting at the natural 4 Kix. So Kix looking to play a little bit more of a harass-oriented, aggressive style game here. Running off of 5 factories, double armories, and he is going to go ahead and get a 3rd base off of this. So basically the gist here is 5 factories, this many vultures. We can see that like the tank count is low from Fat Reaver. You know, if he just sat here and did nothing, he would definitely be a little bit concerned with the army of Arc Times, especially once he starts to add a few zealots in. But the idea here is you take these bases and you do quite a bit of harass, and then Arc Times is never comfortable to move out and give you trouble. And it looks like Fat Reaver wants to come over the bridges. And just going to do some mine clearing. Here come the double drop ships. Oh, this is 4 tanks. This is an interesting drop. Honestly, that's a lot of value in tanks, so there's for sure going to die because of the nature of tanks. So he really needs to get probes here, unless he just does drop with no siege. But he is going to go ahead and siege up all 4 tanks. And Dragoon's on the way. Of course, this is one of those times where the wall is almost a downside. It probably would have been Fatwell with the mines. I guess this is the best route. But here come the Zealots, and of course he has left the dropships. So he's sacrificing 4 tanks for like 4 probes. Probably not a good trade in the... Oh, he actually gets... I take that back. He got the Nexus. He got the Nexus. I didn't think you could get a Nexus snipe with 4 tanks, but what do I know? Not much, apparently. So that did eke out value for the tanks in the end. Killing 600 minerals worth of stuff, including a Nexus, is definitely worth the delay. And of course, behind that harass, setting up a command center of his own. And he is running now off 6 factories. Still charging his way towards those initial upgrades. And again, I have to give Kix credit. Generally very good coverage of the map. Mines all over the place. It's one of the most annoying things. I imagine most Protoss players would agree with me. A Terran that is really good at mining up the map is really frustrating because you're just always having to worry about where you walk. You can never get units quickly from A to B because you're always busy having to clear minefields. It's just demanding. You know, you want to reinforce or harass a base, you send force outs to harass a base, but then they walk through a minefield. There's all kinds of things. Like if you can get good at mining on the map, it's just fantastic. Adding a few more factories. Well, I guess, no, well, he needs the gas here, because right now he's still on only 2 add-ons. He'd probably like to have the 3rd add-on. Doesn't have that quite yet. Obviously, macroing up pretty fast with such a vulture-heavy composition. And we can see Fat Reaver's, I mean, he has lost the Nexus, but again, his macro is just a little slow. I really liked his army control last game, and I was quite impressed with that, but his macro is a little on the slow side here. You know, again, we're 14 minutes. We haven't really had too many major engagements. In fact, he didn't lose any units here, and he's still only at 160 supply. I mean, part of that's just the probes. He really needs to be more at like 60 or 70 by 3 or 4 minutes ago, and it's just slowing him down a little bit. Oh, mine going off. And now Kix moving onto the high ground. We can see his army has a ridiculous number of vultures. Not so many tanks, but it looks like in response to that, Fat Reaver has an army composition that is reasonably Dragoon heavy, which is generally the easiest way to think about it. Terran has a boatload of vultures, you get a boatload of Dragoons, and if Terran has a boatload of tanks, then you slide a little more Zealot heavy. However, he is just kind of lining up here and fighting, and now he is charging in with the Zealots, but there are a lot of vultures left, a lot of Zealots too, though. Will there be enough to push this army back? There might be. This is a pretty large army from Fat Reaver, given the lack of probes for him. It's a pretty large army, and it is going to be able to clean up Kix's army for right now, but with the mines on the map and the bridges, he will not be able to push across, I don't think. Although he's going to try. Here we go. Running across. Possibly. Are there enough units to bust across? He is not reinforcing. That is one thing that Kix has going for him. He needs to be careful with these vultures. Sieging tanks up here. There we go. We are getting tanks sieged up on the high ground right now. Dragoons are being whittled down. No reinforcements coming, so this is held by Kix. But certainly a tense moment. And Kix probably feels... most likely he feels pretty nervous right now. He's like, oh my god, Protoss has killed my army, I almost died, holy shit. But if we actually stop and look at the game, he's on 4 bases, Protoss is on 4 bases, he's got like 8 factories going, a little bit of rallying would be helpful, but he's got 8 factories, he's got his upgrades, you know, Protoss did okay, but, you know, Kix is fine now. Except one thing that's not good is this. The lack of gas at the 4th would be nice. Certainly could get the tank count up a little bit faster. You can see he's on 400 gas. His gas is basically being spent, especially when he makes 2 more tanks. He's not even upgrading right now. Certainly, you know, just having trouble affording everything he wants. A little bit of vulture harass down here at 3rd base. Picking off some of the probes. Oh, although now he is going to fight against the Dragoon. Still, we can see Fat Reaver's economy is just 40 probes, 4 bases. That's pretty anemic. That's like a Zerg economy at the middle stages of his ZVP or ZVT or something like that. Actually, spread it over 5 bases. I mean, you can see how anemic looking this economy is. Barely 1 per patch at most of the bases. Probably not mining much gas either. Yeah, not mining gas here. Looks like he's only mining gas at 2 of his bases. But has produced another big army. And again, you know, for the size, this is surprisingly big for a 150 supply army. So Kix is still comfortable with his position, especially if he defends over here competently. He's got a lot of tanks. Would be nice to see a group of vultures come over here, but the position is fine for Kix. Just needs to deflect this army, which will be no problem if a few vultures do get over here, although right now there are no vultures, and they need to get over here, because right now there's just some free tanks with a lot of zealots running in here. Kix afraid to siege up, probably the smart decision here, especially without reinforcing vultures, allowing those zealots to do just a bit more damage than they should have. I mean, this is held. He's fine. And in the meantime, vultures running into the natural, but of course under attack. A little hard to focus on killing the probes, although still picking off a good 4 or 5 probes here in the natural before getting cleaned up. And position still comfortable for Kix, who is running more vultures in over here. Terrorist vultures. Kix is getting in touch with fantasy mode. Arctime's barely able to keep up, now having to send his whole army back. And we can see he's about to be down into the 30s of probes at, what, 18 minutes with a 5 base Protoss, and you're down at 40 probes? It's hurting. He can remake them pretty fast, though, if he gets all those nexuses going. Yeah, it would have been even better if he could have split like 4 volts here and like 3 volts there. But, and of course this base is just kind of sitting out here vulnerable. And it looks like Kix wants just a bit of a larger army before he actually goes ahead and moves out. Oh, does Arctimes? He's got 2 Stargates, but remember, he hasn't been mining gas from either of these bases. He's only mining, well, he just started mining gas. So there's a reason why these Arbiters are so late and so few in number, and that's primarily because nice ops coverage though. You got to give him credit. Like, he's almost has like too many obs in certain spots. These could be spread out a little bit more, but he's got obs all over Terran's base, over the factories, just, you know. So in that sense, Fat Reaver loving it. Gas up, so yeah, Arctimes was like, fuck, where's my gas? Why can't I make anything? Shit. And then he put down gases at the other bases. Alright, so Arctimes with another one of these. Well, he actually has probed up a little bit more, but still a little bit thin. Another 10 probes and we'll be talking about a good normal size late game PVT probe count. I keep seeing these purple things and keep thinking, is there an Arbiter? An Arbiter? Recall? Somewhere? Alright, a whole boatload of tanks coming out across the bridges here. Kix looks like he's just going to set up defensively maybe and take the 5th, or maybe push down this way. That's always a nice way to play. When you can push towards the Protoss base while simultaneously securing your own with the direction of that push, always nice to do. Especially given how easy it is to barricade this base off, and then that allows you to really comfortably push down here without much fear of counterattack. Really nice way to play in these cross-map positions. And that honestly seems to be the sort of thing Kix is thinking about right now. Upgrades are a little bit slow for Kix, but let's remember it took him, unfortunately, a pretty darn long time to get that gas, so he really hasn't been able to afford those upgrades, especially since he's definitely wanted to get some vessels in his army. A few Goliaths in there, needs those. Would be nice to see him get those upgrades started again. I mean, let's face it, it is, you know, 20-minute mark. And it looks like Fat Reaver's thinking about an attack. He's certainly getting his army into a line. Is he going to go for it? Yes, he is. All right, here we go. We have the commitment to an attack. Can he land some EMPs on these Arbiters? The answer is looking like no EMPs are going to go down before Stasis even gets the 1 vessel. So, honestly, Kix does not have a lot of tanks in here. I don't know where the rest of his tanks are, but this army's kind of small. The Vultures being worth their weight in gold, quickly killing off the Zealots. And the army from Fat Reaver is temporarily repulsed. Although it looks like Fat Reaver may not have given up the ghost of this attack yet, may want to dive back in there and try to shut down the 5th once he gets a few Zealot reinforcements. We can see he is doing a good job macroing nothing but Zealots back at home. So here we go, attack round 2, but it's not the best. Everything was pretty clumped up and honestly not really even fighting. Vultures moving forward and then back, getting a few more mines out in front of the army. And now everything is just about gonna unfreeze. A few more tanks coming out. Did he ever get that 3rd add-on? Yeah, he does have 3 add-on tanks right now, which is good. And it looks like he is just gonna keep on creeping down towards this base, which is a definite concern. We have a little drop going on down here. killing off a few of the probes. No response from Arctimes yet, but it looks like he is starting to move his army. Well, no, that's just his army kind of gathering. Probes dying. Is he going to recall to defend this or stasis this? Please don't stasis this. This is too small to be worth a stasis, especially since that means you just have to leave units there. He's actually going to scan to kill more probes. So this is another probe genocide, and it looks like Fat Reaver's just saying, oh, fuck it, I'm going to go attack. Never mind. I don't think he sent any units back there, so he's just going to accept the losses. He knows about it. He's just going to accept the losses and try to bust the position of Kix, and he does get some huge stasis. This tank's a little bit clumped for Kix's liking here, and it looks like Fat Reaver is busting through the position of Kix. Are there any reinforcement units? No, there are not at this point. So this base is lost for Kix. He needs to float up and get out of here, or else he's going to lose the CC as a part of this. And honestly, I think he can kill the CC if he wants to focus it. He's not doing so yet. He is going for SCVs first, but I guess he can still probably swing around and get it. He does need to be a little bit aware of these tanks. Alright, he is bringing his army back. Reinforcements arriving for Kix, but just a little bit too late. I think there's still more than enough Protoss to clean this up comfortably, yes, but that unfreezing does allow Kix to slide the base away, but definitely an army loss there from Kix. Of course, it took a long time to get that cleaned up, and we can see no mining at the 5th base for Fat Reaver, who basically abandoned his probes for that attack. Not able to handle the multitasking of the main engagement as well as getting units over there. Yeah, I think the reason he's winning every fight, though, is because he's so low eco that it makes his army, like, abnormally big, so it's allowing him to have these effective fights. Honestly, my hunch would be in this kind of a low eco situation, if you can tell that Protoss is, like, this anemic, is just push, like, a little bit more slowly and carefully, and really make it hard for Protoss to, like, counterattack, and then you'll get efficient trades, and then he can't replenish. We're going to have a recall into the main right now, and it's a pretty significant recall. Clustered up there in the factories, and Kix's production has seemed a little bit... Oh, actually, never mind. It's not that low. It's just he's got out here. So we'll see how effectively he can get back and clean up this recall. He's definitely going to sacrifice a few rounds of units here to these Terran attacks. And it looks like possibly going to consider moving in with the rest of his army later. We'll see. EMP's going down right now. Tanks coming out. Can he save either of those? No, they're going to die immediately. And Kix just cleaning up stuff at the bottom of the ramp. Will he target down those vessels? Would be nice for him to do. He gets one. Yes, he's going to go for the other. No, he's actually not targeting it down. Dragoon's just kind of fighting willy-nilly, so Kix will eventually make it up the ramp, but certainly is buying plenty of time here for Evil Eye, and has obviously taken out both of, or two of, Kix's machine shops, something he dearly needs. And unfortunately for Kix, he is at 2-2, so he is working on 3-3. And trying to target down the science facility, not going to get it. And that recall will finally get cleaned up. That one last pesky Dragoon. Unfortunately, this Arbiter will make it out of here if Fat Reaver remembers it's there. Although he might forget about it. Oh, we can see Kix. No, I thought Kix was going to put the Goliath under the Arbiter to ensure it dies. Although, honestly, not microed. It will. Oh, he's trying to hit up over here with some Zealots. I don't know what good that's going to do. I don't know what good that's going to do. That's just kind of like a suiciding of Zlots. And for the first time in the game, Fat Reaver is actually showing signs of having a healthy economy. And these Zealots are just... they're not going to accomplish anything. And maybe... No, Fat Reaver doesn't seem to realize that. He's just kind of sending them here to die. I think he probably was, like, recalled, and then he sent some Zealots over here, and he's like, well, I hope that it's just open and Kix is, like, not paying attention to the recall, and they can walk in and do some unmicro damage. That would be my guess. And in the meantime, across the bridge comes the army of Kix, which is quite large. So is Fat Reaver. Like I said, first time he's actually getting close to having a healthy economy. Although some of it obviously needs to be transferred over to relevant mining bases. And now Kix out on the map. He's got position. He can start rebuilding the CC over here if he would like to. And Arctimes is gathering for the engagement right now. Quite a few Arbiters with that army, but nice EMP on the main army and Arbiter. Softens up the shields on a lot of those Protoss units, and 2 more Arbiters are out now, both with good amounts of energy. PP, sorry, ready, set, go. Man, you guys, if all the games are like this, this is going to be one long-ass cast. We've had nothing but like 30-minute plus games so far. Alright, a few Zealots suiciding themselves early, and now the full attack comes from Arctimes. He's had good luck with his attacks all games. Can he make yet another attack work? I don't know about this one. A lot of the Zealots are dying pretty fast to the mines. Still a lot of Vultures left, a lot of tanks left, and while a ton of stuff is stasis, there are still 3 tanks left, and it is going to be enough to repulse the army of Fat Reaver, who for the first time in the game is handed what I would call a major defeat in a battle. That really did not go well. He stasis a ton of stuff and still lost the fight quite badly, and now Kix has his moment to move down, especially as this unstasis is. Kix is still going to have a very large army left over. We can see it is similar size to Arctimes. He is reestablishing this 5th base. Right now, Kix is doing absolutely everything he needs to do, except perhaps sieging up these tanks in front and laying a few mines out in front of his army. But other than that, looking solid for Kix so far. Of course, Fat Reaver knows this CC is going up, has the obs there. Got to give him credit. This guy has some nice obs coverage in his PVTs. Oh, Probe, nice paying attention there. Walks in there and he's like, oh, Vulture, no. Oh, but Kix seems to be kind of aware too. And we'll go ahead and find that probe and kill it. And it looks like Fat Reaver is being forced away from his base, and he's a little bit slow. He's actually got a lot of supply, but where is his army? I mean, he's got a shit ton of Arbiters. That's some of his supply. 1 EMP, though, to rule them all with this single hotkey. So you're obviously saying he's surprised that Protoss doesn't have every base on the map. I mean, I understand where you're coming from, but I guess I'm not surprised in the sense that, you know, it's, what do you call it, C- level PVT, and looking at these players, just there's probably not the APM and the multitasking to be all stressed about these big fights while simultaneously taking bases all across the map. So while I agree, like, it would be good if Protoss had that, I'm not, like, super surprised he doesn't. And now Kix is set up at the bridges. Starting to look a little bit grimmer here for Fat Reaver, and I don't see anything else going out on the map, actually, unless this is an Arbiter. Okay, he's going to go for a recall. So this is a pretty important move here, but there's nothing left really to recall, so actually this is not a great idea. He can recall to the main, but I don't even know if that is going to be all that good at this point. But will he get in there? He's going to just slide into there on a pretty big recall. Now Kix will probably just push into the natural as this recall happens. No, did he leave anything at home to defend? Yeah, he's got tanks home. He could start to defend if he wants to, although right now his tanks are headed the wrong way. Is Kix just going to say, ah, fuck it, and go for it? Or will he take some units and come back and defend? Like I said, I was sure he was going to push into the natural with at least some of his units, and I definitely agree with that. This is a nice ramp stasis going down here, buying him more time. Tank should win this fight against the Dragoon. Arbiter moving a little bit out of position right now, and a lot of this comes down to, can Kix control this attack well enough to not just suicide units while also clearing out his main? Right now, though, not much left to clear out his main, and that is dangerous because that could spell the end of units for Kix right now. I mean, there's still a lot of army left here, and no real army coming out of these factories. In fact, Kix isn't even trying to make army out of the factories at this point. He's basically given up his main and is going for it in the natural. Is it going to pan out? He's still got a lot of units with him, although he's got to be careful. Things like these DTs could be a huge problem, especially when vessels are out of position. He wants to get up a turret. Arbiter's coming back now. Where's the scan? He should have a scan, but he hasn't scanned yet, and it's going to allow him to deny the turret, which is obnoxious. And are there any Goliaths? Oh, this is really rough for Kix right now. There are not Goliaths. We can see Fat Reaver is just sending an unit scan for some reason, not going down. I don't know if Kix is just out multitask or what. He's got, well, actually, he doesn't have energy there. He's got comstats with scans, but he's not finding them. He's not using the energy, and I am worried because he is bleeding units. And like I said, he's given up his main. I don't see factories anywhere else on the map right now, so it's looking like a situation where if Fat Reaver just holds on and cleans up this army, he will take the game. There's no guarantees he can do that, but it certainly looks like he has a chance to. He is sending everything across the map, though. It looks like he's not going to try to do any recalls, and Kix definitely needs to scan. Actually, never mind. He's got the vessels there. Stasis the vessels right now would be so good. I guess he's going to go for a stasis on the tanks. But the army of Kix is really thin right now. We're down to just a few vultures and having a hard time breaking up the ramp. Still, he could also recall this whole army back to here, too. Although, probably has been EMP'd. Does this one have enough? No. Okay, so all of his arbiters are low energy. Looks like he's just doing a little bit of countering here. He definitely needs to move carefully, though, if he wants to bring this army back to defend. And any signs of factories going up for Kix? No, surprisingly, Kix didn't kill the depots. Kix is still mining. He's rebuilt one factory, but one factory is not a whole lot of factories. Still continuing to push his way forward. Arbiter's raining down damage has actually dematrixed the tank to try to keep it alive a little bit longer. Zealots coming in, picking off supply depots, and it looks like this base is flooded in, so Fat Reaver's opting to just shut down the last of Kix's macro, last of his income. And Kix, where did those vultures come from? I don't even know. He did not rebuild factories. I don't know. I guess they were sitting around somewhere, but unfortunately they're just kind of fighting, and Kix says, GG. Fat Reaver will take the series 2-1. And I am not quite sure what to say about that army control. Or that last little bit. Like, I felt like Kix was going to be able to defend, but then that recall sort of, I don't know. My sense is that probably Kix just went a little too, oh my god, I'm just going to go kill him, and didn't defend at all. Like, had you sent 4 or 5 tanks back, I think you could have still pushed in and then started sieging at the bottom of the ramp and gradually taken control of your base again. But that would be my guess. The recall was a nice move. Like, at first I thought he was just going to recall like an empty base, and I was like, oh, that's going to be a stupid recall. But then he recalled your main, and I was like, and then it worked. Did a lot of damage because you basically gave up on it. So we'll go into our next game, which is going to be Genji against F10 EQQ. Genji, I believe, is a Zerg player, if I recall correctly. And since I am not Jaehoon, I do believe I recall. But we'll find out. Yes, indeed. In the top right-hand corner, as the orange Zerg, we have Genji. And in the bottom right-hand corner, as the blue Protoss, we have Ionis Armada, otherwise known as F10 EQQ. Someone is adding music. I don't even know if that'll work right now, though. I don't think I have the stuff set up to actually make it play songs. Evil is good at guessing songs through the mic. I'm just inspiring you to go get fat. I'm gonna keep eating them here. The sad part is I'll probably have eaten a package and a half or something by the time this cast is over. If I keep eating 1 or 2 per game. I think we have like 10 games or something. So I'm still not quite sure on Genji's skill level. He's a newer player to at least these leagues. I don't know if he's newer to Brood War, but newer to these leagues. I want to say he's got to be like at least D+, C-, but just don't have a feel for it yet. And I believe, like I said, F10 EQQ, I think he has hit C before. So should be one of the stronger Protosses in this league. I would say him, Hafnium, Evil Eye, maybe Shoop-da-Whooper. I'm not as familiar with his play. I hear different things about him. Some people say, like, he's solid, he's alright, and some people are like, nah, man, Shoop-da-Whooper's fucking crazy, you gotta ban him from the league. You know, I've heard both ends of that spectrum. Those are sort of the low bound and the high bound that I've heard. But we'll see. This is kind of the first time I've actually seen F10 EQQ playing, so it'll be interesting to see his PvZ. And the map, for those wondering, is Neo Jade. Neo Jade, reverse ramp, 4-player map. Big old ramp here, tilted downwards, and then base over there. Sending out 2 drones, trying to take the Nexus. Nice little initial drone attack. Now, is he going to go for the pylon block? A lot of times, Protosses that are dedicated, yep. Throw down the pylon, shuts down the hatchery. Looks like he's going to build the hatchery out of position. What? That can't be right. Well, that's stupid. That's just, unless I'm totally missing something and this hatchery is actually in the right spot, which I realize sometimes hatcheries can be like that, but if this is in the wrong spot, this is stupid. Genji, if you see this cast, do not build the hatchery here. If you want to build the hatchery, build it there, but you just blocked your proper hatch positioning. I mean, at least you can still get optimum gas, but you just completely de-optimize your mineral mining. And if you're going to place it wrong, like, place it completely wrong, and, you know, just, yeah, don't do that. Don't do that. Especially because you have Lings coming. Alright, so Lings are trying to chase the probe. He's almost going to get... Oh, no, but it's going to slip by. Never mind. In the meantime, drone dives to the cannon, and we have Forge and Gateway. Pretty easy map to wall on. Fine wall here from Genji. Nice one-hex little easily blockable wall. Yeah, or you can build it to the third, obviously. You got a few choices. Misplacing it is the one choice you don't want to do, though. Looks like two of the Lings being used to try to chase, although they're not exactly always helping chase. But being determined, trying to get rid of it. Can he get a few more hits off on it? No. Nice turning here from F10 EQQ, who is showing some early exemplary. I can't say that word right now. I give up. That just totally failed. Exemplary. There we go. We got it out with much difficulty. It looks like he's gonna return the Lings. I'd like to see a Ling go down here to the front so he can at least see that the Forge isn't spinning so far. But right now, I mean, there's just absolutely no intel for Genji right now, which is a bit of concern. Yeah, Pisan, teach me how to play some ZVT. Like, my ZVP is fine, but my ZVT, it's like, there's probably a full rank in skill difference between them. Like, my ZVT is probably literally, like, barely D+, whereas my ZVP is probably like C. It's huge. Alright, so a few Lings coming down here, taking a look at the front. Of course, obviously not able to run by with a Zealot between a wall and a Forge and some cannons. Evil Eye, I might actually try to play a little bit after the cast today, because my, I'm starting to get a little bit more mobility in the shoulder, but it might hurt, so I might not be able to, but I will maybe give it a shot. If I take Zerg, goes, how can you have less APM playing Zerg or Terran? What? Your APM is the highest with Protoss? That's really funny, actually. Oh, some idle drones here from Genji, who is trying desperately to chase this probe around. But it has not died yet. Actually, he's probably not trying at all, because he's just got one Ling tag to it. But he does have the ramp blocked off, so the probe can't exactly leave if it gets too low on health. Speed is, I think, done. Yeah, he's popping that probe in the butt. Butt raping the probe till it dies. Sorry for the graphic description, but that's literally what happens. Actually, it's not really raping. I guess it's more like biting with... Actually, I don't know. Do Zerglings bite, or do they actually claw? I mean, they're kind of crappy sprites for actually telling what happens, but it could be either. Oh, well, that's kind of interesting. I guess he put the ramp there like, I don't want you to see me. And then over at the third base, bum, 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 bum. Hydrogen. So Hydralisks on the way. Only 2 cannons for F10 EQQ, which is a bit of a concern because you need... Well, at least he's got 2 gateways. I mean, that does help. Oh, whoa. Okay, he skipped Stargate. This is really good for him. He's going to have speed to fight these Hydras. He should be able to hold this. He should be able to hold this, especially with the gateway explosion. This skipping Stargate is working out really nice for him. Oh, I didn't actually even... Wow, I missed that. It's 4-hat Hydra. It makes it a little bit interesting, but +1 speed lots are pretty good against 4-hatch Hydra, so that explains a little bit of the timing. But this is a very fast +1 timing. But I don't think this will go very well for Genji. Arguably the best thing Genji could do at this point rather than try... Oh, he's already out on the map. Alright, let's see how the control is here from F10 EQQ. Getting some good initial shots. Of course, he's got +1, so the Lings are going to really suck. And yeah, clearly there are enough Zealot numbers right now to start driving these Hydralisks back. Now, he might get the better from this initial engagement. I think he needs to pull back right about now, although actually he's continuing to reinforce. And never mind, he's got enough, and Genji just GG's. Thought maybe he was going to need to pull back and recollect himself, but nope. Too many Zealots. And I missed if he had range. I did not see which upgrade he went through first. Sorry guys, I saw it a fraction too late to actually see if he went for range or speed first. Alright, so we'll go into game 2, and it looks like Genji has opted to play on none other than Blue Storm. So, in the top right-hand corner, as the white Zerg, we have Genji. And in the bottom left-hand corner, as the teal Protoss, we have INS Armada, otherwise known as F10 EQQ. Someone saying Blue Storm isn't in the map pool. Genji just told him Blue Storm, and F10 EQQ didn't even know better, so I guess they just picked Blue Storm. So they just went for it. YOLO! Oh yeah, notice the minerals, guys? I'm doubting he's either alt-tabbed and having huge keyboard problems, or he's about to throw down a pool. And it looks like he's about to throw down a pool. Which is, honestly, I kind of think this is, well, I don't know how the map works. It doesn't say, no, I would normally say, I kind of think 4-pool's bad on a 2-player map, because you're going to scout it right away, unless he does something weird and doesn't go and scout. What? Well, that's good for Genji. I could not imagine ever playing PvZ and not scouting after Pylon. But, you know, usually if you know about it right away, you can just pull probes, and you can do enough blocking to let your cannon finish right away. But it's funny watching people have struggles with this bot. Like I said, I keep saying I'll turn off its settings, but I keep forgetting to actually go look at its settings. Alright, well, he's about to scout. And he's about to be like, holy shit, there's a fucking lot of Lings on the map right now. This isn't normal. I'm a little scared. I could lose this game if I'm not careful. If you could kill a drone in the beginning and then make the 3-pool work, either they were just greedy and couldn't control any probes, or you have some kind of god skills, or they're like, 10 APM and, made like 5 pylons before Forge in their main base. He still hasn't gone in. He's looking for a drone to block, and he's gonna be like, oh shit, that was not what I expected to see. However, if you look at the timing of this, somehow it looks like it's gonna be close. And I think if he just grabs all his probes, it's way too early. Man, that's way too early. Grab like all your probes but 1 or 2, but wait. But I think one of his cannons might actually be about to... It's just like not even gonna... It's just... Oh, this is so close. He'll just get here. All the probes have to do is block for like a fraction of a second, but he's not blocking! Well, he's gonna get the rest. Oh, whoa, nice. That block was actually really good. So with a few probes getting in is not a big deal. And he went 3 cannons, so nothing else can get in at this point. And honestly, he's already killed one of them. So unless this Ling just goes into ungodly stratospheric levels of terrorism, Armada should pretty much have this game locked up. And as he suicides his Overlord into triple cannon, GG is said from Armada, or from Genji, and Armada takes one of the fastest 2-0s. I guess he's now made up for how long they... He knew that Kix's games were taking a long time, so he's like, alright, I better just go ahead and quickly kill. Although, actually, in fairness, I guess you can't really contribute that to Genji, or to F10 EQQ. It was just like Genji went ahead and quickly ended the games. Alright, so it appears that Jealous is casting Game 1 of Snowfruit versus Evil Eye, and possibly casting Game 3 if there's a Game 3. So we're just going to see one game of the series, and the results of Game 1 and Game 3 will be entirely unknown. So, in the top left-hand corner, as the yellow Protoss from Team, we have Evil Eye. And in the right-hand corner, as the brown Zerg, we have Snowfruit. Snowfruit saying Genji has been busy with school. I guess he never practiced ZVP. Snowfruit, do you know what level Genji is? He certainly decided to play pretty all-in both of those games, but I don't know, maybe the first game he was intending to do something different and was just a little bit on tilt or something, I don't really know. And then just went 4-pool. He hates when they cast my games. When they... How do you guys hate it? I love my games getting casted, even if they're completely shitty games. And I feel like, honestly, like my games versus Dark Matter, I was legitimately embarrassed by both of those games. I felt like I played particularly bad there. And even though those were casted, I mean, I still like watching my games get casted, even if they make me cry. Alright, so Evil Eye has a Pylon at the natural. Not in the main. So we're basically ruling out a two gate. We're basically ruling out 1 gate tech. We can't rule out 2 gate. Yes, Jealous is casting game 1 and game 3 if there's a game 3 of this. Hence the reason I have skipped to game 2. So somebody picked Circuit Breaker. It could have been Snowfruit, it could have been Evil Eye, but we don't know. The winner is a mystery. Evil Eye throws down a Forge, obviously going to put a gateway over here. And oh, Snowfruit making a pretty fast pool. Or is that just overpool? Oh, okay, maybe it's just overpool. Never mind. I didn't see the Overlord at first, and I was like, he's only got like 8 drones or something. Alright, so we're gonna go Hatchery before Lings, Hatchery before Lings, or Lings before Hatchery, Hatchery before Lings. Oh, wow. Okay. So Evil Eye either hasn't scouted, I would rather, maybe that's why, he hasn't scouted, right? I'd rather see him double scout, that way you don't have to do this, but Evil Eye playing super safe. Like 2 cannons before Forge is really safe. It's basically insurance if against Zerg 9 pulling, which most Zergs don't do. 1 cannon is usually totally fine against overpull. Especially 1 cannon with a probe or 2 pulled. But he is scouting late, so I guess that's just doing it the safe way. But that will certainly make Snowfruit happy. It'll put him in a marginally advantaged economic position, especially having delayed his Lings to get that hatch up first. And away goes the probe. Away goes the probe. We should see a gateway. There we go. Nice. Evil Eye using his 100 APM to surgically execute his PvZ build. How the hell you get to see with 100 APM in PvZ is like mind-boggling to me. But but it is possible. Evil Eye's done it. And he has done a good job getting this probe out here for another look. But look at that, Snowfruit. It's like, this is like a super series. This is like, I'm gonna put 2 Lings on the ramp, and in case that doesn't work, I'm also gonna have a drone there. Evil Eye notices, and okay, brings the probe up, backs down. Of course, nothing is actually going on in the main, so I think he's just trying to psych Evil Eye out and make him think, oh my god, am I gonna get Hydra busted? Not enough to scare him into building a cannon yet, that's for sure. He's gonna go down and check for a 3rd base. Of course, honestly, seeing a 3rd base doesn't really rule out that many possibilities. Zerg, oh, actually he's not gonna find one down there. I mean, Zerg can still do almost any of the builds they want to, if there's a 3rd base. I guess the only thing you're ruling out is like 2 hatch muta or something really weird. Snowfruit does another 4th hatch. Now he's gonna make 4 hatch before gas or 5 hatch before gas. We'll just have to see, but he hasn't gone quickly for a gas, so it's certainly looking like a 5 hatch before gas build. Objectively, it's not the greatest build, but I think it is an easy build to do if you are learning. So, yeah. And honestly, we are seeing a lot more 4 hatch before gas, not 5 hatch before gas. We are seeing a lot more 4 hatch before gas in Korean ZVP land. Definitely seen a surprising number of those games, especially following a gate expand, but I have seen them at all stages. And still blocking with those Lings, and oh, he's gonna trap the probe, it's dead! So, Snowfruit with a kill on the probe, popping out a few more Zerglings. And Evil Eye is sending out this Zealot with the intention of harassing, and we do see a 5th hatch taken almost at the same time as gas. He's taking 2 gases, so this looks like pretty solid 5 hatch before gas style. And then we'll just see what he decides to do from there. Alright, a bunch of lings now popping out for Snowfruit. I guess worried that there may have been many zealots coming across the map. So should be able to deal with the zealot fairly easily. Evil Eyes is going to go run behind the minerals, try to get some value out of it. Snowfruit does need to send a group up top and avoid fighting a little bit inefficiently, which right now this zealot is being allowed to be painfully efficient. There we go. There's the split of the lings that we needed. And he will be able, oh, nice job there, pulling back the lings. Unfortunately sending in the wounded one, but the zealot, oh. For a second there he started to attack his own lings, but he was quick to recognize, oh, I don't need to do that. In the meantime, back at Evil Eye's base, see he's going up to 4 gateways and getting speed. It is a pretty good response to this build. Although the only thing I will say is this is not like super fast speed. He did skip, which kind of surprises me because he did skip the Stargate, which is totally a fine response if you're playing against no gas, because obviously you're not going to get muted, which is the main value of the Stargate. I still kind of hate skipping it because I just don't like being that in the dark, but it does give you a really strong early zealot attack that is a pretty hits at a pretty annoying timing when you're playing this way, especially if you're looking to go for Mass Hydra. And we can see Snowfruit, honestly, in my opinion, he's really sunken up, but I don't think he's actually gone with an Overlord and scouted that this is like 4 gates. So, unless I missed something and he saw that, this is really, really defensive for someone who's intending to play with a large number of Hydra. Like, this is really slowing down your build to do this. So, although maybe he's not going to go for Hydra. I kind of assumed he was, but maybe I was a little hasty in my assumption there. Obviously knows there's no Stargate because there'd be a Corsair by now. And now Evil Eye moves out onto the map with his Zealots. Going to have some serious reinforcements, and there are not going to be a lot of units out right now for Snowfruit to defend with. So, with that in mind, he is definitely going to need to morph these really soon. We can see Evil Eye has actually managed to sneak out here. Alright, he has started morphing at this base. He's got about 3 Hydra, but what he doesn't have is Hydra up. So these are going to be kind of crappy Hydra risks. And this 1 creep colony is not that useful. It's going to die super fast. Oh, we actually canceled. Oh, maybe it was just finished. I don't know. Either way, that was a bit weird. Bringing a few Zerglings up. Still hasn't morphed these. The fact that there's nothing down this base, this is so scary. And I think Evil Eye might even hit it right now, which would be terrible for Snowfruit. As with Slowdras, there's no way he's going to be able to defend this. He's just getting speed. I don't even know if he has range for his Hydras. If it's slow, non-ranged Hydras, this is going to be disastrous. They are in there before the Sunken Colony is morphed. He is responding, but will his response be sufficient? I don't know. A lot of it depends on how quickly those Sunken Colonies go down. He's trying to drill it. The Sunken 1 is down. The Sunken 2 it is down. This is going to be an incredibly difficult defense for Snowfruit. It does appear that his Hydras have range, but they are very slow, and a lot of them are being very stupid right now. Drones are being massacred over on this side. They probably should just run away from the base entirely. Hydra are cleaning up a few Zealots, although the one saving grace is he is not elected to stream Zealots across. He has switched into a few High Templar, but it looks like he is cleaning up these Hydra with ease, and now Snowfruit is kind of just sacrificing a few Hydra at a time. He's got to be very careful with how he plays this. If he just sends them in 2x2, he will absolutely not be able to defend this base at all. He kind of has to poke at the Zealots and then move back, but of course, he doesn't have speed, which makes it really hard to get little pokes done, and actually, Evil Eye just wants to go for the Hydra. More hatching right now. No micro from Snowfruit, though, who's just eating this straight up. I think his Hydra speed has just finished. That's going to give him a little bit more of a chance, but I don't really think he can clean it up with these Hydra here. He's going to have to pull back a few more reinforcements. How many more of these Zealots is Evil Eye going to kill? Is he going to, or how many more of these Hydras is Evil Eye going to kill? Is he going to get through all of these? Right now, it's looking like it. Reinforcements slowly eliminating these Zealots, but the damage is dealt. An entire hatch is lost. Snowfruit forced to spam Hydra for a very long time. Obviously lost a lot of drones. We can see his economy is just at 29 drones. Evil Eye has been making probes nicely behind this whole time. 49 probes. Has High Templar in there, 3 High Templar, a bunch of Zealots. The follow-up attack is going to be so hard for Snowfruit to hold. I hope he's transitioning to Lurkers. I feel like he would really need to rely on Lurkers to defend that, but no sign of Lurkers on the way. Yeah, your Hydra ups were really late. Like, I mean, your Hydra ups should be pretty close to done by 7:30, 8 minutes, and you were like just starting one of them. Trying to make a little bit more static defense, but there are too many Zealots here right now. He can come down to defend with the Hydra, and if he catches the... Wait, where are the High Templar? What the... he just leave? Okay. He's just gonna ignore his High Templar. That would give him a chance to defend, but I honestly just don't think there's enough production right now. He's working off 3 hatches, which I don't think can stop this many Zealots. I mean, he's got a good position on the ramp, but it's flat out not enough Hydra. If he could, like, morph these into Lurker eggs or something, he could get somewhere, but, I mean, reinforcements are coming in, and GG is said. Evil Eye, the winner of Game 2. Oh, okay, that's a fair reason. Evil Eye said he forgot Storm. That's a pretty good reason not to send your Templar into battle. But it did look weird. It was like, you made 3 Templar, why not use them?